to lead the debate on the bill for an act to provide for the facilitation, coordination of public infrastructure development, to ensure that the infrastructural development in the country is given priority in planning, approval, and implementation, to ensure that the development goals of the country are promoted through infrastructure development, to broaden the scope of funding for infrastructural development so as to improve management of such infrastructure during all life cycle phases, including planning, approval, implementation, and operations, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday night, February 2022. Background. One of the critical parameters for measuring economic development of a nation is the level and sufficiency of infrastructural development. Indeed, it has been acknowledged globally that infrastructure is central to economic development of the states as an employment driver. Infrastructure, therefore, underpins economic and social development of any society, and Nigeria as a country is not an exception. The Ministry of National Planning, as it was then called, in a 30-year roadmap infrastructure development plan known as National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, NIIMP, had projected that Nigeria requires at least $2 trillion for infrastructural development over the next 3 decades. Investment in infrastructure is therefore an imperative for our country because of decades of inadequate national development plans leading to lack of infrastructure development in most communities, especially in the rural areas. This situation hobbled economic and social development in these areas, making it difficult for enterprises to have access to economic opportunities, thereby undermining efforts to improve basic quality of life, that is, health, education, and security for our people. A holistic approach must therefore be deployed to address key challenges for sustainable development in order to bridge this deficit in infrastructure, which is very huge, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. Relevance. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to achieve a sustainable infrastructure development, we as a parliament must address this gap of poor legal framework in addition to government policy instability and political will, lack of holistic view of national planning, coordination between ministries, departments, and agencies. The division of responsibilities for infrastructure across the Federation from ministries, departments, and agencies to state-owned companies, to local government areas and regulatory bodies portends the risk of contradictory plans and priorities, resulting in cost rising and development damping effects. This bill therefore seeks to ensure a more strategic, coordinated response to these challenges by proposing, amongst other mechanisms, the establishment of a National Integrated Infrastructure Coordinating Commission. Objective of the bill. The bill provides for a legal framework for National Integrated Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, NIICC, and its implementing structures. It also provides for the identification and implementation of strategic integrated projects, SIP, which are of significant economic or social importance to Nigeria, and the appointment of relevant ministries to chair SIPs. Provision is also made for the appointment and functions of steering committees to provide technical support and oversight for the SIPs. Generally, it provides for practice and procedures which seek to ensure that infrastructure development is not undertaken merely in a transitional manner, but in a manner which seeks to advance national development goals. This bill will, in addition, define infrastructure in asset units. It will also provide infrastructure investment bond guarantees, and will also fine-tune the process of infrastructure concessioning by the ICRC. The financial compendium to this bill is contained in the schedule attached hereto. In conclusion, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, our desire to achieve national economic development will remain a mirage unless and until necessary actions, not limited to those proposed in this bill, are taken to give a facelift to the infrastructural shortfall in this country. Indeed, given the scarce resources addressing these backlogs while maintaining adequate infrastructure for the economy and fast-growing areas require careful prioritization and collaboration. I accordingly urge you all to support this bill and ensure its speedy passage into law. I thank you, and may God bless you all. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Senator.
I represent Enugu East Senatorial Zone. This is another attempt to put another bleed on national resource. This is to create an organization that is so big that is going to be involved in territorial battles. You have due process, you have project implementation, you have Ministry of Works. This is just another attempt to create a bureaucracy that will continue to put a bleed on the taxpayers and the national resource. I oppose it, and I oppose it vehemently. Thank you.
I put the question. And do you again say nay? The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Goals of the country are promoted through infrastructure development to broaden the scope of funding for infrastructural development and to improve the management of such infrastructure during all life cycle phases, including planning, approval, implementation, and operations, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the facilitation and coordination of public infrastructure development to ensure that infrastructure development in the country is given priority in planning, approval, and implementation, to ensure that the development goals of the country are promoted through infrastructure development to broaden the scope of funding for infrastructural development and to improve the management of such infrastructure during all life cycle phases, including planning, approval, implementation, and operations, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. 2022. Second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on National Planning and Economic Affairs and to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission Act, Cap N 117, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004 Amendment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 15th October 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Uche Lilian Ekwenife to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Uche Lilian Ekwunife Iyom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President,